Good morning. Welcome to the Ingathering service of the First Universalist Society in Franklin. My name is Lee Minnekelle, and I'm serving this morning as your worship associate. Thank you all for choosing to be here on this lovely September morning. I think I've decided that September is my favorite month of the year. We've had beautiful weather this September. And this is the beginning of our regular worship year, and you are all welcome here. We all come here for different reasons: to find community, to seek spiritual and personal growth, to nurture our hearts and souls, to explore new ideas, and to find comfort and perhaps to find the answers to some of our bigger questions. We welcome you. We know you come from different backgrounds, different beliefs, different places. We hope you find comfort, connection, and love here. Whoever you are, whomever you choose to love, we welcome you. If you are visiting with us this morning, we are especially glad you're here. Please be sure to sign the visitor's log in the foyer. And if you're visiting with us on Zoom this morning, please find the link to the virtual visitor's log in the chat. After service, everyone is encouraged to join us for coffee and treats at the Fellowship Cafe in the foyer. And people on Zoom can also stay on their devices together to chat for a while. And now let's join our hearts together this morning for worship.
Good morning. You did that well after a whole summer off. I'm Rev Bev. I am delighted to be here as your interim minister. And I am delighted to have those of you on Zoom also with us after a summer of no Zooming. Did you miss us?
Yeah.
There are rituals and traditions that call us to beloved community. This service is one of those traditions. The first service of a new year, ingathering, homecoming, opening Sunday. We call it many things. This year, as we start our last year with me as your minister, has special meaning. At least for me, it does. I am fully committed to minister with and for you to the best of my ability. But more than that, I am fully committed to leaving here well. I've joked about channeling my inner teenager so that you'll be glad when I walk out the door. And that might happen occasionally, but that's not going to be the theme for the year. I want to leave here knowing we did good ministry together. I want to leave here knowing that you have the tools and the mindset to engage with your new minister fully. In an open-hearted way, curious about what the future will bring. And so we ingather. We gather in service, in hope, and in strength. We come home to ourselves, to our community, to our faith. We open ourselves this Sunday and every day to surprise and delight, to the need for compassion, to the waters of renewal and refreshment that come when we are together. So welcome, everyone. Whether you have been coming here for decades, or today is your very first time, or anything in between those two, welcome. Let us worship together. Now, Michelle and some choir members are going to help us with our opening hymn. It's on that half sheet of paper that hopefully at least one of you in your row got with your hymnal. I invite you to rise as you are able. Sorry, Michelle.
This is a tradition, I guess. It was for quite a while. So, there's 5 parts we're going to sing through. So Kathy's going to lead the wheel part, which is about here-ish. And then part 2, Rand's going to lead-ish here. Allison's got this part. Carolyn, your part looks a little thin. You're about here, and then the bubble ups are here. So we're going to let each part sing their part alone. Then we're going to layer. We're going to start with 1. You're going to get sick of your part, believe me. We'll add 2, we add 3, we add 4, we add 5. Then we take away 5, take away 4, take away 3, take away 2, and we'll end up with 1. All right, it'll work. So we're going to, each part gets their chance to sing it alone, all right? So here comes part 1, the wheel of the water. You're following Kathy. You ready? Here we go. And the wheel of the water goes round and round. So that's part 1. The wheel of the water goes round and round. The wheel of the water goes round. Now just part 2, following Rand. Here we go. Water falls down.
So there's a lot happening today. We have our new chalice that we are going to dedicate this morning and light for the very first time during worship, because it's already been lit to make sure it works. So I want to invite the president of our congregation up to read the chalice dedication.
Founders and forebears of Unitarian Universalist congregations around the globe gathered together to have their way forward lit by the light of reason and truth, the light of companionship and interdependence, the light of justice and equity. They realized what we still recognize today, that our separate fires gathered together kindle a warmer, stronger, more brilliant flame. We are better together. Remember that every week when we light our chalice, symbol of our faith, in the community that holds us, and the bright flame of the human spirit that unites us. This morning, as we imagine carrying that flame forward, we dedicate a new chalice for our worship space. May it call us home when we are lost. May it be a reminder of connection, hope, and courageous love.
And while Lee reads our chalice lighting this morning, I want to remind everyone of the generous donation of our religious education program towards the purchase of this chalice by inviting any children, teachers, leaders that are here today to come up and help me light our chalice for the first time.
Yes. Okay. May the light of this chalice always remind us of the light that is in this community, the light that is in this world, and the light that shines in all of our hearts. May it reflect the light of children's eyes, of elders' wisdom. May it be a welcoming flame, shining brightly for all the world to see. May its light ever extend our vision, that we may appreciate the diverse ways in which reality is revealed. May its glow enfold all who gather in its presence. And may all who search for understanding find their welcome here. May this fire always burn fiercely within us as we commit ourselves to live out the values of our faith.
Why don't the teens come forward and light it for us, please? No, it wasn't you. It's somebody cleaned it too well. It used to get stuck because of all the wax, and now it just slides right down. So you have to keep your thumb or finger on that to keep it up.
Beautiful. Great. And now it's time in our service to all of us sing the unison affirmation. It is found inside the front cover of your gray hymnal. We pledge to walk together in the ways of truth and affection, as best we know them now, or may learn them in days to come, that we and our children may be fulfilled, and that we may speak to the world in words and actions of peace and goodwill.
And now we have a couple of stories for you today. And the first one is called The Water of Life. It was written by Kate Compston, and we've adapted it slightly.
are my actors ready? Almost? Good. All right, come on up, actors. 3 people were searching for the water of life, hoping to drink from it and live forever. The first was a warrior. He reckoned the water of life would be very mighty, a torrent or a rapid. So he went in full armor with all his weapons, believing he could force the water to yield to him. The second was a good witch. She reckoned the water of life would be very magical, perhaps a whirlpool or a geyser, something she would need to manipulate with spells. So she went with her long, star-spangled robe, hoping to outwit the water. The third was a traitor. She reckoned the water of life would be very expensive. A fountain of pearl drops or diamonds, perhaps. So she loaded her clothes and purses with money, watch out, hoping to be able to buy the water. Okay. I'm going to put this down here. We can all travel. There's an ink. When the travelers reached their destination, they found they had all been quite wrong about the water of life. It wasn't a torrent to be intimidated by force. It wasn't a whirlpool to be charmed by spells. And it wasn't a fountain of pearl drops or diamonds to be bought for money. It was just a tiny sparkling stream. Its benefits were absolutely free. But of course, you had to kneel down to drink from it. This caused the seekers great consternation. The warrior was full of armor and could not bend. The witch had on her long magic robe, and if that became soiled, it would lose its power. The traitor was so loaded with money that if she started to bend down, coins would start rolling away into corners and crevices. All dressed up, the 3 could not lower themselves to drink from the spring of the water of life. There was only one solution. So the warrior laid aside his armor. The witch laid aside her magic robe. And the traitor laid aside the clothes the purses she had stuffed with money. And then each of them, dressed simply and feeling humble, could kneel to drink from the water of life and receive its sweet they received its sweet, cool, remarkable benefits.
Please join me in a time of prayer and meditation. Water is essential for life. In water there is history and hope. In water there is newness and dreams. All people are connected by water, for it runs through our veins and courses through the stems and the leaves of plants. It is the symbol of the healing power of forgiveness and the faithful promise of love. It is the symbol and the reality of the interconnectedness that unites humankind and all life. Today, we bring water to mingle with all the waters of the earth. Today, we pour water to honor the earth that gives us life. May our separate waters join into one sacred stream as we also join our hearts to live lives of love and justice and peace. Amen, and blessed be. I'm glad our travelers left me some of the water. is a story called The Journeying Stream. It's a Sufi parable. A stream from its course in far-off mountains, passing through every kind and description of countryside, at last reached the sands of the desert. Just as it had crossed every other barrier, the stream tried to cross this one, but found that as fast as it ran into the sand, its waters disappeared. It was convinced, however, that its destiny was to cross this desert, and yet there was no way.
Now, a hidden voice coming from the desert itself whispered, "The wind crosses the desert, and so can the stream."
The stream objected that it was dashing itself against the sand and only getting absorbed, that the wind could fly, and this is why it could cross a desert.
By hurtling in your own accustomed way, you cannot get across. You will either disappear or become a marsh. You must allow the wind to carry you over to your destination.
But how could this happen?
By allowing yourself to be absorbed in the wind.
This idea was not acceptable to the stream. After all, it had never been absorbed before. It did not want to lose its individuality. And once having lost it, how was one to know that it could ever be regained?
The wind, said the sand, performs this function. It takes up water, carries it over the desert, and then lets it fall again. Falling as rain, the water again becomes a river.
How can I know that this is true?
It is so. And if you do not believe it, you cannot become more than a bog. And even that could take many, many years. And it certainly is not the same as a stream.
But can I not remain the same stream that I am today?
You cannot in either case remain so, the whisper said. Your essential part is carried away and forms a stream again. You are called what you are even today because you do not know which part of you is the essential one.
When it heard this, certain echoes began to arise in the thoughts of the stream. Dimly, it remembered a state in which it, or some part of it, had been held in the arms of a wind. It also remembered, or did it, that this was the real thing, not necessarily the obvious thing to do. And the stream raised its vapors into the welcoming arms of the wind, which gently and easily bore it upwards and along, letting it fall softly as soon as they reached the roof of a mountain many, many miles away. And because it had its doubts, the stream was able to remember and record more strongly in its mind the details of this experience. It reflected, yes, now I have learned my true identity. That'd be great. I'm going to start my reflection, connecting, reconnecting, with a show of hands. How many of you, I'm going to turn off my lavalier mic, sorry, and use the real one. How many of you have been coming here for more than 25 years? Show of hands. Raise those hands really high. Look at those hands. And those are only the people that are here this morning. How about people who have been coming between 10 and 25 years? Real high. Excellent. 2 to 10 years? How about a year or less? Oh, look at that. Look at that. I'm assuming everybody got to raise their hand. Okay. One last question. How many of you came to at least one summer service between June 30th and August 25th? Perfect. Excellent. And they were all really good, weren't they? So here is my challenge to you. Over the next month, I want you to connect with at least one person that you don't really know, or at least you don't know really well. At least one person. Now, reconnecting tends to be easy. There are those people that you haven't seen for a couple of months or even longer, but as soon as you find yourself in a room together, that time melts away and you pick up just where you left off. But connecting for the first time, that's not as easy for many of us. So the challenge is find something in common. It can be as simple as you both live in Bellingham, or as complicated as you both believe in God, but not the same God. And to do this, I'm going to tell you something obvious. You need to talk to people you don't know. Someone needs to make that first move. Why not you? Connecting and reconnecting. That's what we want to do. Now, I want you to put yourself in the first story that you heard. Which seeker of the water of life are you? The warrior that gets what you want by strength, brute force, overcoming any obstacles? Or maybe the good witch who will use magic and illusion and a little bit of manipulation to trick the object of your desire. Or perhaps you identify with the traitor. There's nothing that money can't buy, or so our traitor thought. The real question here, regardless of which one you are or a combination of more than one, is can you shed a part of your identity, give up just a little of that that covers and protects you to obtain what you seek? That was also the question asked in that Sufi parable, wasn't it? The stream was very concerned about losing its identity by letting the wind absorb and carry and release it beyond the desert. But the stream had no choice. Could either keep running into the desert and be absorbed by the sand, disappearing altogether, or maybe eventually become a marsh, or it could let the wind do what the wind does. And that is often the case in life. We want nothing to change. We don't want to give up any part of our identity, that, especially those that comfort or protect us. And then we hit a desert. or we find what we desire is just out of reach unless we abandon the old familiar methods that we cling to and to try something different. This is where we find ourselves today, because you see, as we reconnect and recenter and reestablish those ever important relationships, we have already changed. We've already come to our desert, and it looks and it feels different for each and every one of us. And it demands trust. It demands accepting, if not embracing, change. And it demands hanging on to only that which is essential. I wish I could promise you no more deserts. I wish I could assure you that whatever has worked for you in the distant past or just yesterday will always work for you. And I wish you could assure me of those things too. But lacking a magic wand or a crystal ball, all I can promise is a companion along the way. It will not always be perfect. But I assure you, we can get from here to there. We can get from transitional ministry to settled ministry. We can get from the congregation you are today towards the congregation you dream of being. We can do that, all of that. We can do that together. May it be so. I now want to invite Jay Rafferty to come forward to introduce our offering.
Good morning. I'm Jay Rafferty, the chair of the Stewardship Committee at FUSF. I'm pleased to be here as we gather this Sunday to be in our Ingathering service as the church year begins anew. In recent weeks, we've seen changes as the heat of summer starts to be accompanied by breezes coming in, and we start to see tints of color in some of the leaves that are around us. During this past year, we've seen strong growth in our membership and have put together an updated board of trustees which will build on that progress as FUSF embarks on the search for a new settled minister. I hope this service will remind you of what attracts you to FUSF, as we've heard music from the Universal Singers, inspiring words from the pulpit, and we'll have a chance to meet with other members of our beloved community after service at the Fellowship Cafe. In order to continue the work of FUSF, I invite you to make a contribution. You can do this by going to the FUSF website and clicking on Give, which will bring up the Tithely app on your phone or computer to make electronic donations. Alternatively, you can send a check in the mail to the FUSF treasurer at the Meeting House address. And for those of you in the sanctuary, you can add your contribution as the offering plates are passed. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be received.
This gathering of water is a tradition in Unitarian Universalism that I appreciate as a ritual shared by most Unitarian Universalist congregations around the United States and Canada at this time of year. Rest assured that if you forgot your water, that's okay, because this is symbolic, and there's water up here that you can use. Connecting and reconnecting to ourselves, to the value that you bring to one another. Connecting and reconnecting to this beloved community and to a country that continues to need the voices of Unitarian Universalists. Each one of us contributes our part. Each one needs to show up in our own way, sharing our gifts and receiving the gifts of others. When we do it that way, it is easy. When we do it together, we can start to clean up a mess, like the aftermath of a wildfire, or a hurricane, or a flood. We can address global climate change. We can dismantle racism. We can fight against transphobia and fight for our democracy. We can address in healthy ways hard feelings that may still persist within and among you. Connect and reconnect. There is water already in the bowl. It is some of the water that was left from this ritual here last year, which also at the time included water that I brought with me, water that was left over from previous year's ritual at a previous church, mingled with water that goes all the way back to my first interim ministries in Wayland, Massachusetts and Glens Falls, New York. Also added this year is water that was brought back from Ferry Beach, from our ritual at Ferry Beach, that traveled from Reverend Dave to his sister Kat Cassay to Sue Savoy to me this morning. It was on a journey. Luckily, it didn't hit any deserts. So in one moment, I'm going to invite you to come forward to put either some real or virtual water into the bowl. There are pitchers at either side that you can pour from if you wish. And as you come forward, I want you to keep in mind where in your heart that water came from and why that is special to you. And most importantly, as you mingle your waters, how it helps to connect or reconnect to something important for you. And now as people share their water that they have brought, we will enjoy once again the gift of music from Michelle. Please start to come forward and mingle your water into the bowl. Like this water, we come from distant places, places half the world away, places half a mile away. We come from distant places, from the center of a loving family, from families scarred by tension and distance. We come from distant places, from work that involves our hearts and hands intensely, from the quiet of mornings with only a hot cup of coffee, the morning paper, and nothing but time stretched out before us. We come from dreams discovered and lived, from dreams that have been lost, from joys beyond words and pain almost beyond bearing. From our many places, we come here to join with one another. Each week, we come traveling our distances to touch again the sources of this community, to touch that which, like the water that we have brought, joins us together in one common humanity. In the quiet of this time together, may we pause to know the distance we have each come in seeking the companionship of this hour. Here we are in this familiar place, seeking friendly faces, seeking and offering our gifts, moments of quiet reflection, the touch of the power that lives within and between us, a glimpse of peace, and a gentle breath of kindness. Let us share in a moment of silence together as we are reminded of our responsibility, all of us, for the planet Earth and all the creatures that inhabit it. And by our presence and good intentions, may this water be blessed. Amen, and blessed be. Our closing hymn is number 100. It's I've Got Peace Like a River, and we are going to sing verses 1 through 3. Does that sound good to you? Unless we do something different, one never knows. Please rise in body and or spirit.
Like a river in my soul. I got joy like a river. I got joy like a river in my soul. Like a river, I got joy like a river. Joy like a river in my soul. Like a river, I got love like a river. Like a river in my soul, in my soul. I got love like a river. Love like a river in my soul.
As you leave this sacred space together, do so knowing you are loved, knowing you are enough, knowing you are now connected to this spiritual home. Please join in singing our farewell song. The words are "Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again." We extinguish the flame in our chalice, but not what it represents: the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share them out in the world. My friends, our worship has ended. Our service to a hurting world and planet continues on. Go with love and go in peace.